Good morning, everyone. Hopefully this is on. Not sure. We might have to talk loud. I'm not sure. Mr. Crandall, would you know how to flip the switch in there to turn that on? Thank you. We'll be getting started here in a moment, but I do want to thank everybody for coming today. We'll get the microphone issue solved here momentarily. This is a very special day for our community and communities across the country as we come together to celebrate our veterans who have given so much of their lives to really be a part, to help make us free, to help make us what we are as a country. And so for that, I do want to thank all of the veterans who are here today for coming, and know that as a community, we appreciate what you have sacrificed for us. With that, as soon as we get the microphone working here in a moment, hopefully, we will have Nick Rasmussen come forward and he will introduce our guest speaker today. So, hopefully we can get this set. There we go. Good. There you go.
Good morning, everybody. Can I please have everyone rise and face the flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is with great honor that I introduce you to Major Eric Thomasgard. Major Thomasgard was born in Wisconsin Rapids in June 1981. He is a 2000 graduate of John Edwards High School as well as an Eagle Scout. Major Thomasgard joined the Wisconsin Army National Guard in 1999 and attended basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, between his junior and senior years of high school. After graduation, he attended AIT for unit supply at Fort Lee, Virginia. Upon completion of AIT, Major Thomasgard attended UW-La Crosse, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and Public Administration. He also participated in the Army ROTC program and received the George C. Marshall Award. Upon his commission in 2004, Major Thomasgard worked with the UW-La Crosse ROTC program, the 424th Medical Logistics Battalion in Pennsylvania, the 396th Combat Support Hospital in Washington, and graduated at the top of his class from the Medical Logistics Program at Fort Detrick, Maryland. In 2011, he was deployed with the 352nd Combat Support Hospital to serve in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Major Thomasgard is currently serving as a healthcare recruiter and officer in charge of the Madison Medical Recruiting Center here in Wisconsin. Major Thomasgard has earned a plethora of awards and decorations. These include a Bronze Star, the Army Achievement Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, and Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. Major Thomasgard currently resides in Racine with his wife Erica and two sons Grayson and Chase. Please give Major Thomasgard a warm welcome and thank him for his service to our country.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Students, teachers, Port Edwards residents, friends, family, and veterans, thank you for having me. Thank you for being here with me to pay tribute to our veterans and reflect on all they make possible in America. Mr. Cronin, thank you for giving me this opportunity here today. As I stand here before you today, a proud alumni of John Edwards High School, class of 2000, starting to make me feel old, I think back to all the memories that this school and village has provided me. The basketball games that were won here in this gym, the proms, the homecomings, the football games, the other activities that make your younger years so great and grand. Be proud of where you came from. I'm not here today to talk about my story as a veteran, but to talk about the meaning of why Veterans Day is so important to our nation. However, I do believe it is important to share my story, to provide context and understanding to one story of one veteran before you today. As I stated earlier, I graduated John Edwards High School in 2000. I joined the Army National Guard in March of '99 and attended basic training, and then returned to finish my senior year here in this high school. Upon graduation, I attended my advanced training at Fort Lee, Virginia, became a unit supply clerk. While attending school at UW-La Crosse, I decided to pursue ROTC. Upon graduation in 2004, I was commissioned as an Army Medical Service Corps officer and attended my officer basic course. I have lived in Pennsylvania, Washington State, Maryland, California, Utah, and the wonderful state of Wisconsin, and also spent 10 months in Afghanistan. During the plethora of jobs and opportunities the Army has provided me and my family over the past 16 years, I've enjoyed every single one of them. The Army is a family of men and women from all over the world who have come together for a common purpose and to be part of something that is bigger than them. All veterans from all branches of service all chose to serve for a variety of reasons: love of country, service to nation, education, opportunities, or perhaps to escape a life that didn't provide a promising future. Regardless of the reason they committed their life, whether it was for a few years or a lifetime, they served this nation. Today is a day of tribute and of reflection, but also, and perhaps most importantly, of celebration. Veterans Day is a triumph of all those who served and kept us free and continue to do so today. Our understanding and commemoration of this holiday, Veterans Day, has evolved over the generations and over the course of our nation's wars. The very first Armistice Day, which would later become Veterans Day, was observed in a solemn fashion with reflective performances by military bands in cities and military posts across America. Rather than a tribute of what our veterans accomplished for our nation, Armistice Day was a day of remembrance for all those American service members who died in World War I. Armistice Day was established as a national celebration of the Armistice Agreement signed on November 11, 1918 in Compiègne, France. The agreement took effect at 11 o'clock in the morning and ended hostilities on the Western Front of World War I. This week marks the 97th anniversary of that ceasefire in the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the Great War. While this holiday was originally a remembrance of the silencing of the war's cannons, the end of the war to end all wars did not silence them for long. And we have fought many since. So over the past 97 years, the scope of our observance has changed. After World War II, this holiday was widened to honor veterans of both world wars. When the battlefields of Europe fell silent 70 years ago, our World War II veterans came home as heroes. Parades were organized for Veterans Day. The holiday appropriately became more festive and less silent. It was a celebration of an American success. When our heroes returned from the Korean War, World War II was still fresh in America's collective mind. America was moving toward a new prosperity and didn't fully understand the conflict in Korea. Korean War vets were in large part ignored, and the conflict itself became the forgotten war. We know that's not fair. They served valiantly when called, and that war was fought as bitterly as any other in our nation's history. Vietnam veterans served in combat during a troubled time for our nation. Those soldiers returned from war to a country divided. Veterans Day during Vietnam War often featured argument and protest. Today, thankfully, we recognize the heroic self-sacrifice of all veterans. As a nation, we now recognize that the circumstances in which they fought are not nearly as important as the selfless service to our nation. The warriors of Iraq and Afghanistan returned from those wars to receive the care that all of our veterans throughout American history deserve. Society has evolved its perception of veterans once again and is now able to separate the politics of America's wars from its participants. From behavioral health to treatment of brain injuries, we have advanced the way we care for our veterans. There is more to do, but we continue to get better at providing the quality of care they all deserve. In many ways, Veterans Day has become less quiet and more grand, part reflection and part celebration. That is appropriate. In an address at West Point in 2011, former Secretary of Defense Robert Gates said that from the Revolutionary War through Iraq and Afghanistan, a tiny sliver of America has achieved extraordinary things under the most trying circumstances. Veterans Day is a celebration of that tiny sliver and all that many of those veterans have done for so many in this country. On this day, we recognize the veterans of our nation. We recognize those veterans of the nation's wars: World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan. They all share the same blood, the same sacrifice. Whether our soldiers fought the Taliban in Afghanistan, Ebola in West Africa, or wildfires in Washington State, they forever share the same bond. Today is their day, shared with our pre-armistice forefathers who fought in the American Revolution, through the Spanish-American War, and World War I. I leave you today with a quote from George Washington. "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation." Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for our veterans. Now, in the words of Mr. Ed Hoyer, and these words have always resonated with me, treat others the way you want to be treated. And let's go celebrate our veterans and the liberties they ensure. Thank you.
On behalf of John Edwards High School and Middle School, and in appreciation of your service, and thank you for being here today, bit of a memento for you.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate that.
yes, and
Thank you very much.
Please give our speaker another round of applause. At this time, we have members of the community who have joined us today, and in recognition of any of those members of the community who served, we would ask that they please rise if you've served in the armed services for our nation. So any of our community members who have served, please stand and be recognized. This day is certainly a day to celebrate our veterans. And there are many living within our community. And I challenge you throughout today and maybe at some point this week, if you know a veteran, please take a moment and thank them for their service. They sacrificed part of their lives so that we could be here today. And with that, there is a group of those who have served who are no longer with us. And in honor of that group, I would ask that you please rise. It is traditional to face east, which is the direction we happen to be facing here, toward the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Washington, D.C. And I ask that we just take a moment of silence and reflect on those soldiers, servicemen and women who are no longer with us. Thank you. This will conclude our observance. We'll release the students here in a moment. And again, I want to thank all of our community members for attending today. And I especially want to thank Major Thomasgard for his time that he has taken out of his day to be with us. So again, thank you to all of our veterans.